So today we'll be talking about everything we know about the Mercedes-AMG CLE 63. What is the evidence that this car is actually going to come with a V8? There's many rumors, as they were with the C63, that the facelift is going to come with a V8, but then Mercedes denied that that car is going to come with a V8. And Mercedes have not been overt with whether or not the CLE 63 is going to come with a V8 or not. So we're going to be looking at evidence for that. We are going to be looking at the details of the new V8 that Mercedes is talking about, and also we're going to look at whether this car is going to either be a plug-in hybrid or a mild hybrid, or what sort of electrification are we going to get. So anyway, let's get into it. So let's start off with the widely known information about this engine. And the first thing is that it is coming, basically. Mercedes is actually going to make a V8. We can say that with absolute certainty. The CEO of Mercedes spoke of a V8, and he even added an extra detail that it is a flat plane crank V8. He spoke about this at the Capital Markets Day that Mercedes had last year in February of 2025, where they were talking about the future plans of the company to their investors and to the media and to all of that. So that's what they were talking about. The CEO and also the Chief Technology Officer also spoke about a lineup of engines that they're going to have, and included what he called a brand new V8 in that lineup. So we can expect a completely brand new flat plane crank V8 to come from Mercedes, and that is the second detail about this car, that this car is going to have a flat plane crank V8. So this is the widely known information about this V8. But let's get into more details about this V8. According to Autocar, this car will also have a 48-volt mild hybrid system. Mild hybrid. And here's another surprising piece of information. For a V8 that is going to be released in this era of super strict regulations, this is going to be very interesting. Another important thing to note is that the AMG boss says that they don't necessarily need to go that far on hybridization for this new V8, which is so interesting. So that tells me two things about this V8 already. Firstly, obviously the 48-volt mild hybrid system is going to help it to be compliant to the Euro 7 regulations. And secondly, it's already powerful on its own without the need of super powerful electric motors that are going to boost the power of this car to, a lot more power. That means that it will not gain as much weight because it doesn't have to have big batteries, the big batteries that you get in the C63 SE Performance, which is a plug-in hybrid. So that is a good thing about this upcoming V8. However, one downside of it is that it is a flat plane crank V8. For many people, that is a downside because with AMGs, we're used to the cross plane crank V8 sound, that sort of bassy, baritone, deep V8 rumble that you get from AMGs, that we are used to getting from AMGs. So flat plane crank V8s are different, especially from AMG, but they are very different because they are more high-pitched engines. The sound comes alive at higher RPMs, they rev higher, they have just a different character from cross plane crank V8s. So I just want to hear your thoughts, guys. What are your thoughts? Tell me your thoughts down below. Are you guys more keen on a flat plane crank V8 or cross plane crank V8? Are you sad that the upcoming V8 from AMG is a flat plane crank V8? I mean, it's not the first time we've seen Mercedes-AMG make a flat plane crank V8. Mercedes have made a flat plane crank V8 in the Mercedes-AMG GT Black Series, which had a flat plane crank V8 that sort of sounded like a 4-cylinder engine. It was just a disappointing sound for many people. But I just want to play a clip here for you guys so that you guys can compare the sounds of these two cars, a flat plane crank V8 car and a cross plane crank V8. Both are AMGs. I want you guys to listen to this and also comment down your thoughts below. So for those that don't know, that is the sound difference between these two types of V8 engines. There are two very strong reasons why I think this car is actually going to get a V8. The first reason are some pictures that were posted by an Instagram account, and these pictures are some spy shots of this car, of the prototype of the CLE 63, where pictures of it were taken from the back and also underneath. They went underneath to show the exhaust manifolds under the car, to show that there are two banks that these exhaust manifolds are coming from, two banks in the engine that these exhaust manifolds are coming from. So that was some really strong evidence that it's going to have a V8. Maybe some might argue it's going to have a V6, but if you watch the Capital Markets Day, you will hear that the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer of Mercedes, talking about the upcoming internal combustion engines that Mercedes is going to make for the future, and there was no mention of a V6. The only engines that were mentioned that have two banks petrol engines are the V8, this new V8 that Mercedes is making, and also V12s as well. The only plausible explanation for why the CLE63 prototype has two exhaust manifolds is because it's coming from an engine with two banks, and for a CLE63 that can only be a V8. So we can say with certainty that it's going to have a V8 just based off of that one reason, but we're going to add another reason on top of that, which is the sound. The sound of the prototypes are that of a V8 engine. So just watch these clips and then we're gonna come back and talk about it. But there's something really strange about these sounds of these cars as well. But I want you guys to check it out for yourselves, because one thing is for sure, it is definitely a V8. So the only thing that is really strange for me about this car and these prototypes, the sound of the prototype, is that it sounds more like a cross-plane crank V8 instead of a flat plane crank V8. It doesn't have that. It has a more rumbly, bassy, that typical cross-plane crank V8 from AMG, that sound that you get from the M177. That's not the sound characteristics of a cross-plane crank V8, but there can be an explanation for this, and here it is. So Autocar have said, in context, when they were talking about the CLE63, they were talking about this car. They said that AMG ought to add an artificial sound generator to simulate the burbling sound of the V8 we all know and love from AMG. This also corresponds with something that the CEO said, where he was talking about a V8 mode, but this was something that is going to be added, or this is something that is going to be added to electric AMGs, where it's basically a feature where you're going to get V8 noises from the inside of the car, of your electric AMG, and also from the outside of the car as well. So if you press this V8 mode button or you activate this V8 mode, this is what you get. You're going to get the sound from the inside and from the outside, this V8 noise. Those two things correspond, and maybe that is what is happening with this car. We're getting that V8, cross-plane crank V8 sound from outside, but I'm not sure. I really don't know, because AMG also do say that this is a brand new V8. So maybe it sounds different, because the cross-plane crank V8 noise that I'm used to is the one from the AMG GT Black Series, the M178 LS2 engine that we get in that car, which sounds more like a 4-cylinder than it does a V8. I have to say, this prototype does sound good, but is this the real sound? Comment down below about that. Also, I've linked the link to all the sources, including this Autocar article that I was reading, or this Autocar blog that I was reading, so go check it out. If there are any updates about this car, I'm going to post them on my Instagram and TikTok. So make sure that you do follow me there, so that you can get all the updates about these cars. And thank you guys for watching. Make sure that you subscribe for more videos like this, where I talk about upcoming cars. I'm going to also be talking about the upcoming GT2 RS and what we can expect that to be like as well in the coming weeks, and also the G53 series, which is basically the upcoming Neue Klasse BMW 3 series. So we're going to be looking at cars like that on this channel in the next coming weeks. So make sure that you do subscribe. Cheers. See you next week.